ready to do this?
I'm ready to do this.
Okay, so
Kind of.
everybody, welcome back to the What You Don't Hear podcast. This is a 15-minute Friday where myself and a returning guest sit down one more time, but this time to talk about a specific topic, a specific subject, all in the hopes of sending them into their weekend or their upcoming week with some positive, actionable, or thought-provoking advice. And I don't know if there's not really many more guests that I think would be just great at this than you. Returning for this episode, Heather Evans. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Ross. This
I
is
am
fun.
so very stoked that
We're
you
back
were down
at
to
it.
do this.
We're
We
back at it.
are back. So, you ready to knock out a 15-minute Friday?
I think so. I hope we can do this in 15 minutes.
That's always the hardest thing with any of these. And anybody who follows the show closely, mostly because of rambles like I'm doing right now, but anytime anybody that follows these, you probably know by now, a 15-minute Friday is usually anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes.
Ish.
They're always longer than 15 minutes, but whenever they're really close to 15 minutes, I'm proud. I'm nice. We were
We
super
nailed it.
efficient. So before I do turn this on to a 30-minute episode, I'm going to get us on the clock.
Oh my gosh, he's going to do
We'll
it.
see the time counting up or down. I think it's up, starting at 0. Here we go. 15 minutes on the clock. So the topic of this episode is one that I know is very close to your heart. It's one that I put on the list and I was hoping that you would be down to talk about. It's the topic of why it's never too late to get started. This was
My goodness.
a huge part of your story, your full-length episode. So I know you've probably got tons to share about this, and this is the place. So I'm just going to toss it over to you. The floor is yours. Tell the listeners, why is it never too late to get started?
My goodness. Okay, so to preface this, I just turned 35 this past week.
Happy birthday. Did I tell you happy
Thank
birthday on
you.
social? Or did I?
You probably did.
Well, happy birthday just in
Thank
case.
you. In person is better anyway. So I just turned 35. And okay, so when I turned 30, I kind of panicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have more figured out with my life. I should know what I'm doing. Am I right though, Ross? Doesn't that feel like a thing that by 30 you should have it all together? Or you're out of college, you're in your career, you're living your best life. Everything's sorted out.
Yep.
Well, I didn't really feel that way because if you go back and listen to my story, it's pretty intense. And I went through a lot of hard medical situations and I had a ton of setbacks, which I really wanted to be doing music full time, but never could because of situations that were beyond my control. And so there I was at 30, turning 30, where I was questioning everything. I'm I thought I would have my life together. And I even wrote a song be patient with me because I'm still learning how to be. I'm still growing up. I'm still trying to find out who I'm supposed to be. And I think that in all of that, we have to be patient with ourselves in the process because we're all in process of trying to figure out who we are. And some of us are late bloomers and that's okay. And you may not have it figured out by the time you're 50. And that's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to have so much grace for yourself and patience with yourself in the process because you are literally growing up in every hard moment, even through the hard things, your character is being developed. Your roots are going down so deep that whenever the big things come, you'll be able to hold it up. I'm going to cry. Look at me. I'm oh no. You know what I mean? So it's even though I went through all those hard things, I feel it anchored me so much deeper and set my roots so much deeper that the things that I'm stepping into now, I feel mature enough.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I've been through years of, letdowns and failures that I'm hey, what's the worst that could happen, right? I'm going to try. I'm going to knock on the door and just try. And so it's never too late. And even if you feel it is too late, learn from the growth that you've been through. Trust the growth. Trust the process of what you've been through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, Ross, I am living my freaking dreams. I can't even tell you how insane it is. I I just had a huge placement. One of my songs was featured on the new, on a promo for the new show on NBC, La Brea, which is a really cool show, by the way. My song was in the promo, and I was watching that and literally had like a huge smile on my face, but also like streams of tears down my face, because I'm just like, this is what I've been working towards, and it's happening, and it's never too late. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
35.
It didn't happen week one of you deciding to be a musician, you know? So it wasn't just an immediate thing. And that's like, there's so much of, I don't know, about this topic that like, I feel like I'm not so much like battling right now, but I'm starting to get the weird feels, because like I'm inching towards 30. And for some reason, 30 is like that number 30? Where everyone's like, 30 is that you have to be an adult by then. It's like,
no,
I don't even know what that means. And I do think that maybe in a societal way, that's slowly shifting and slowly changing, where everyone's realizing like, you don't have to do anything by any point in time. Again, the topic of this, it's never too late to get started. Like, but for me, I still do play the comparison game where like, I see so many friends who are like in these like multi-year relationships, and they're getting engaged and married and having kids and all this sort of stuff. And I'm, looking at me and I'm like, I just spent my entire day editing a short horror film. That's what I did. And I fed my cat. Like, and I play the comparison game where I'm like, what do I not have figured out that they do? But then I have to remember that, like, again, there's no magical time frame that says you have to do things. But I'm also looking at the way that I'm structuring my life and realizing, well, like, no, I want to be working on these things. I don't actually want those things that these other people have, or not want them, but it's not like I'm sitting every day hoping that those things happen. It's like I am sitting and shooting a horror film or writing a script or whatever it is.
Which is amazing.
And it's like,
stop it.
And it's like, I do have to kind of reel myself in and realize it's like, even outside of the creative industry, even just life choices themselves, there's nothing that says like, dude, by 30, you better have a wife. You
better have it figured out.
You have to own a house by the time you're and I'm like, I just, in the past 2 years, started living in my own 1-bedroom apartment, just completely by myself, no roommates. So it's like I'm still enjoying even that phase.
I love this,
of not even having roommates and stuff. So it's like, why would I immediately want to jump in to be like, wife, where are you? Let's move in together right now. So it's like this idea of it's never too late to get started, or it's never too late to accomplish these certain goals. I think it happens in both like dreams and just in reality. Because I think for some reason, for so long, like society said, they put all these bars on everything, that it was like
limits and
it's like you have to be grown up by 30, whatever that means. But again, I think people are starting to realize that now. And like, where do you think that is that just like from past generations, that it was just like the thing of like, yo, when you're 19, you have to have a house and a wife, and everyone's...
Let's be real. That was the American dream that we were sold. And I grew up in the 90s. So I feel like that was even more of a thing, especially for women. Oh, women, listen up. All right. For women, it was like your whole value was get married, have kids, put your dreams on hold. You know what I mean? It was because that's what we saw our parents do, and that's what our parents saw their moms do. And I even remember my grandma, wow, she was amazing woman. She had 5 boys, but she had the opportunity. She got a scholarship to go to a business school, and she didn't do it because she got engaged instead. And she had 5 boys, and she put her all into that and like went all in, which is amazing. She sacrificed everything for those boys. But then, like, even once they grew up, she started her own cleaning business. So she didn't forget about, what she wanted to do. And she ended up saving her money where she was able to, like, bless her kids with so much, money when she passed away. And, like, the money that she left for me, I was able to do the Life EP with. And it's like, even though she gave up all that stuff, she still came back around to it. And she still, like, she did it. You know what I mean? And I remember that. And I sort of went down that path. And I got married super young and had the opportunity to go to, recording school. And that was my plan. But I ended up getting engaged instead. And then we, had kids young. And then that kind of like set my path down a really different course. And I always like looked back and was like, what if I would have like went to recording school? What if I just would have waited? You know what I mean? What could have been different in my life, And you can't do that. You can't go down that rabbit hole of what if, because it's a really dark and dangerous place. I've found that over the past like couple years. But it's like, okay, it's not too late. You know what I mean? I can still go to recording school. What? Who said, am I dead? Like, have I stopped breathing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Where don't give up on those dreams, even if you did set them aside for a time. Do you know what I mean? That's okay. Like my grandma, she had to set that aside for a time because she wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was like her thing. She set it aside for a time. She had that season of raising her boys, and that was the most important work at the time. You know what I mean? And I'm in the season of raising my kids. That's important work. But then I'm also doing this really like heart and soul life-giving work at the same time of music and seeing these breakthroughs that I never thought would have been possible because I tried again. You know what I mean?
What do you think?
Circle back around, people. You can circle back around. It's okay.
What do you think it is that actually prevents people from finding that path to circle back around? Like, is it comfort? Is it complacency? Is it kind of a lot of what we've talked about up to this point of the society standards of like, I got this job and it pays me X amount per, week or biweekly. And I don't have time to, do this because
I need to get my head out of the clouds.
Right.
What's wrong with having your head in the clouds?
Yeah.
It's wonderful up there. Have you been up there before?
Right. Yeah. Like,
I love it. I call it chasing the white rabbit. Like, I love going down that rabbit hole of creativity, and you never know where it's going to lead. And it's so exciting and like thrilling to me. So I can't stop even if I were to try.
I think same.
I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. I think if there was ever a day where I was like, no, I should quit. Like, it's literally just something that's naturally in me. But I think it's like naturally in everyone.
Do you think that some people feel like they have to suppress that side of them?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yes.
Especially in places like Columbus, Ohio, that aren't like Hollywood and aren't like... There was a vibe in California. When I lived in California, you were free to be like creative.
Right.
And it wasn't like a weird thing.
Which is weird because it's like that is here, but it's like whether you let yourself... It's literally so much about this and everything that we're talking about is like, do you let yourself do it?
Yeah.
And that, goes into a whole other, a topic for another 50-minute Friday of like confidence and everything else. But it's like, I think at some point, like, people kind of set their confidence aside, which then sets their goals and their dreams or their imagination aside to do those things. And it's like, for me, it's not just like anybody listening to this. I don't think it's like, oh, like you need to quit your day job or you shouldn't do that. You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, understand that you can embrace both.
Yes.
You can do that thing that might be draining you. It might just be the paycheck, right?
Yeah.
But why did you stop letting yourself have an imagination? And not every goal has to also be like, I'm going to be the next, Jeff Bezos or whatever, as terrible as an example that might be. Like, it's like not everything has to be this huge leap. And I think that's another strange thing that actually has happened in society where it's like it's becoming more acceptable to get started whenever you want. The 30-year-old thing is kind of being pushed back, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, entrepreneurship has had such a light shined on it.
Yes.
That now everyone's like, well, if I can't accomplish it tomorrow, then I'm a failure because I saw this TikToker with 1 million views and I posted mine yesterday with a joke that I thought was funny.
Instant success.
It's like, and so then everybody assumes almost unknowingly that, oh, it should be an overnight success, but then they forget that it takes time. So then again, drawing it right back to the topic as we're about to hit the 15 minutes here, it's never too late to try those things.
Never too late.
Even if you tried something once and it didn't work, you can still pick it up later, or you can still learn. It's like, as much as it's never too late to get started, it's also never too late to accept the wins that come with those things.
Yeah.
Because just like the story that you started this episode with, you just got this awesome placement on a huge TV channel with a huge show.
Yep.
And you're getting to experience that now, and that didn't happen in week 1 of Heather making music.
It
didn't happen in year 1 or year 2. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's not only being okay with understanding that I can start this dream, this goal, this idea, even if it's going to college, if it's starting your own business, if it's anything. Not only can you do that at any point in time, but then it's also learning, because I'm still learning this. I'm a very impatient person. But then it's learning the patience that it's never too late to get the win.
Yeah.
The win doesn't have to be the instant thing either. Yeah. So we've hit our 15 minutes.
The win does not define who you are. And it doesn't, it won't satisfy you if you're not doing it for the right reasons. And I think we can end there.
That's what I was going to say. We've hit our 15 minutes, but I want one more time give you the floor. If there was any closing thoughts. That it's like, because we just threw a bunch out within 15 minutes. 15 minutes goes by so quickly, right? That? So quickly.
I'm sweating though.
So if there's any like final thoughts and feelings that you really would want to leave with somebody with, based off of everything we've talked about or something we haven't touched on, whatever it is, like if they're walking away from this and you just want to drill it into their head, like, remember, it is never too late to get started. What's the final thoughts you want to share them with?
A lot of times we suppress our dreams and we suppress that creative voice in our head. But I just want to speak to anyone right now who maybe a long time ago that flame was burning bright and strong and you've kind of just like suppressed it and maybe it's gone completely out. But I want to encourage anyone listening right now that it's never too late to like reignite that spark again. And not to do it for, just like me and Ross were talking about, for fame or for money, but maybe because you need to do it because it's what keeps you alive. Like it's what fuels you and makes you excited about life and gives you a purpose. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's never too late to even just start again. I think that's something from my own story that I hope people grab a hold of.
Heather, that was a blast. I knew 15-minute Fridays with you were going to be so much fun.
It was so hard.
So much fun. So as we say goodbye, plugs and promotions, where can people go find you around the internet if they want to check out some of the stuff you're doing?
Heather Evans Music everywhere, on Instagram, on my website. Find me, follow me. There's so many cool things happening right now. So come along for the journey.
Beautiful. There it was. 15-Minute Friday in the books. Woo!